A lot of people are too scared to say their dreams out loud because it is a big dream, but look where it's brought you. Have you tried the traditional routes of door knocking, cold calling, doing open houses and that kind of stuff? Like, what's your experience?
Not for me.
I feel like that's also why a lot of agents dip out early, is because they start the business and they're not really noticing how much they're... Hey everyone, I'm Jordan Martindale, and today I'm sitting down with the amazing Melissa Carrington, who has done some incredible things, not only this year, but in all of her years of real estate. So I'm excited to dive in and learn a little bit about her journey. So Melissa, thank you so much for joining. And I would love to learn a little bit more about what you did to become so successful in your real estate career.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the industry now for probably about 6 years. I've been an agent for 3 of those. And to be honest, it's been a mental and emotional roller coaster the entire time. It is something that I jumped into when the market was taking a downturn, and I decided to jump in with both feet on my own. But then again, I would never have it any other way.
Right.
And it wasn't until I found my community and pouring into that community where I started to see things take a turn, where I would show up for them and they would show up for me. And it's been an incredible journey so far.
Amazing. And so you said that you've been in real estate for 6 years, but a realtor for 3. So what were you doing before real estate?
So I was actually running an office for another team out of Keller Williams Complete. And they are still very joint venture focused, so very investor focused, which I learned a ton of stuff from them. And I am forever grateful. And that's when I started investing myself, and picked up my first rental unit right before the world shut down. Like, we closed, and 3 days later, they're like, everything's shut down. You can't get any materials. Like, nothing can happen. So I rolled up my sleeves and did everything except for the electrical and plumbing.
Wow.
In that place, and just kept going from there. And then during that time, I was like, well, I want to get my license. And then when I got my license, I didn't feel the need to really focus on investors. I really wanted to help people and, like, in their homes, residential families and all of those things. So I decided to, take the leap out on my own and see what happens.
That's amazing. And you've been really creative with your investing too. I know it's not just your typical rental units. You also have like a business rental building, correct?
Yeah, I have a CEO, which is Collective Executive Offices, and it is a workspace, a co-working space designed for women entrepreneurs to expand their businesses.
That's amazing. What made you want to start a women specifically entrepreneur space?
I wanted it to be a safe space. I wanted it, and I find that women in general are fighting to hold space in their industries that are very male dominated. And I wanted to have a place that we can leverage to help each other move forward in the world, basically.
Right.
And I wanted it to be a safe space of networking and working with each other and supporting each other.
Nice. So is that women in any kind of business that are welcome to come in, or specific niches?
No, any business that needs an office space or a workspace. Like, currently I have a jewelry company that has their showroom there in one of the bigger offices. I have therapists, I have injectionists, I had a photographer, just any female-owned businesses. I have said no to a few that don't match up with that safe space aspect. And I have had men in there as well. They just know that there's a lot of feminine energy in the building.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Some might not mind that so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So in terms of anybody that might be looking for a space like that, what would be the best way for them to go about either contacting you to book a space or anything that you want to share about that?
Yeah, they can go on to our website, collectiveexecutiveoffices.ca. There is currently a wait list going, but once you put your name on that wait list, anytime something comes available, it'll get blasted out to everyone who's looking for a space.
And what would you say that this space has done for your business? I'm sure that there's a lot of networking that gets involved in that too.
Absolutely. It has expanded my network and as well as allowed me to connect. What I love about building a community is that you get to connect different people. So when somebody's looking for something and I'm like, hey, actually, there's this great woman-owned business in my building and I can connect them. And just being able to do that for people has been incredible.
That's a huge value add for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, I know you've been super busy because you're juggling that. You're also juggling your own real estate career. How do you stay on top of everything?
With the support of a community. And I feel like a broken record because I keep saying it. But once you have these support systems in place, and it makes life easier. There are different community sources. So I like to think of it as a whole, but really there's these pockets. You have your personal, I have my cheer community for my daughters. I have business communities. I have friends, all of these things. And then together, like in those aspects of life, we all support each other. And it's amazing to see what women can do when they all help with one task. Like everybody's just like, yeah, I got this little thing. I got this little thing. And you can just accomplish so much more and get so much more done just by working together.
Oh yeah. Many hands make for light work.
Yeah. And like collaborating on things is like you end up getting so much further.
Oh, for sure. Because now you got all the brains working and all the ideas coming together.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of support, how has KW played a role in that?
Oh my goodness. Like, honestly, I don't know if I would still be the same way. And one of the things I will say, when I did end up leaving the team, I knew I was going to be with KW just because of the culture. I knew that if I called any agent here, because I knew from before that even though I wasn't an agent, that anybody was there to answer a question. If I called any agent here, if I needed any help, they would pick up the phone, no problem. They would send me whatever they had to support and to help and make it through. So I always knew that there would be, you're not out there on your own. Even though you're a solo agent, you're never alone. You're a part of the bigger team.
Right. And obviously it's made a huge impact on your career because you got nominated for the 40 under 40, which is incredible. So what was that like? Yeah,
I mean, it was definitely an experience. It's one of those things where you always hear like the road to success always feels like failure. And it was one of those moments where I stopped and actually like reflected back because I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not at my end goal yet. I'm not there. There's so much more I want to accomplish, but like, oh my gosh, like look what I just did. And you don't take those moments until something like that comes up and you're like, oh, okay.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
There was something that Eddie said during Bold where he was saying about success happens so slowly sometimes that we almost miss it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the line, right? Yeah. So it is one of those things where you really have to take a step back, like you said, and reflect on how far you've really come, because the day-to-day might seem so small, but looking back on the whole journey, it's like, holy, how far I've come,
Absolutely.
right?
And you don't see it. Like you yourself in it, you're focused, right? You don't see it. It's when other people kind of bring it to your attention that my reaction has always been, are you sure? Like just because like you don't see it, it's not in front of you, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Absolutely. People are the way that people see you, right?
It's like watching our kids grow up, right? Like if it's somebody else's kid, it's like you go even a week or 2 weeks without seeing them and you're like, wow, they've grown so much in such a short amount of time. And you're like, really? Because you're with them every day, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with success. Like it's just such small increments, but you just have to trust the process. And I feel like that's also why a lot of agents dip out early, is because they start the business and they're not really noticing how much their efforts are compounding over time.
Yeah.
And then when they're not seeing the results right away, it's like, okay, I'm going to dip out. But really, if you just give yourself that time and believe in yourself and keep moving forward with consistent action, you'll get there. And you're a perfect example of that. You've been very consistent and pushing forward, and look at all the amazing things you've done already.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I know. I completely agree. Like there's always, I find that if you're not seeing the results, to me, I'm always like, that's when you got to triple down. Yeah. Like you just got to like keep going for it and find that support system to help you stay focused on that.
It's not always easy, right? So how is it that you stay motivated?
My unhealthy work-life balance.
Love the honesty.
A little bit of a workaholic, which I'm working on.
Yeah. Working on work.
Yeah. I don't recommend it to anyone. But honestly, it's a drive to be independent. It's a drive to show my girls that they can do anything that they focus on. If they choose to do it, they can do it. I don't care what it is. You can literally do anything if you decide that you're going to do it. And I want to show it to them and every other little girl out there watching, like I hear their friends talking about, oh, your mom's building that fence. And they're like, yeah, they're like, how is she doing that? And I'm like, you girls want to learn? Like, yeah, let's pick up these tools. Let's do it. But they only see, they don't see that very often.
Right.
So I want to show them that they can literally do anything that they want to do.
I love that so much, because a lot of times that you do have that limiting belief, especially if you're only shown one way. Like, okay, yeah, typically you see the men out there building the fences. So to see like this beautiful, hardworking woman out there building a fence, yeah. I love that. Show them that can be done. Yeah, that's awesome.
They could do anything.
Have you always had that mindset, or is that something that you had to work on?
I think I've definitely had to work on it.
Yeah.
And I think the process, when the world shut down and all of a sudden I had this property that like, if I didn't do anything with it, like we're going bankrupt. Like, this is it. You have no choice. It's sink or swim. And I was like, okay, well, all those years of my dad teaching me how to do things, because I was the only one still around the house. My brothers were out playing with their friends. I'm like, okay, I know some basics. Let's get at this. I'm going to learn. Like there's no other option but to do it.
Right.
When we got through that, and that ended up being the best purchase and the best, I would say, on the back end, like it cash flows the most. It is such a success in such a little property. It's only 500 square feet.
Right.
Like it's so tiny.
Yeah.
And it made such a big impact on our life that I'm like, I can do anything. I just need to decide I'm doing it, and it's going to happen.
Good for you. And so did you go about that with a partner, or is this something that you did yourself?
No, I had a joint venture. Again, women helping women. Like I have a really good friend who I was sitting there one day and I was like, oh, I'd love to do this. Like I was talking about what these investors do. And I was like, I would love to do it, but like, I don't have quite enough. And she was like, I'd do it. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And she has the same mentality. Like the two of us were in there demoing, doing drywall, putting up new ceiling, like all the framing, new bathroom, like all of it, tiling. I've never tiled before, figured it out.
Yeah.
And it's because we did it together and pushed each other through it. So
imagine you never had the courage to say that dream out loud.
It's insane.
Right? Like,
where would I be? I don't know.
And that's the thing, is a lot of people are too scared to say their dreams out loud because it is a big dream, but look where it's brought you. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Little steps, right?
Yeah, for sure. So when you first started creating your community, how did you go about starting that?
So one of the things that I have mentioned is that I think that women can do anything when they come together. So me and another friend, and this is what I think is amazing, because there's all of these different pockets where women in partnership have been able to create such an amazing thing. co-founded Steel City Women's Collective. And it was meant to be again, another space where women can come to further themselves, their businesses, personally, professionally, and support each other throughout the entire thing, while trying to make a difference in our community as well. During the first year, we were able to raise over $14,000 for Be the Change. And it was absolutely amazing because we just all banded together and we all knew what we had to do and did it. And now reflecting back on that, I want to take another approach. I want to have something a little bit more relaxed, and support the local community direct, as taking this out into local venues across the city.
Amazing. So do you have any in mind that you're thinking of?
Any spots?
Yeah.
I do, but I'm not going to mention it yet.
Okay. Secret.
But definitely nights for the girls.
Yeah, I love that.
And you'll have to follow me on Instagram to figure out what it is.
Nice. Nice drop. So you've already done so much with all this. Where do you see your business going in the years to come?
Yeah. So I still want to continue on looking at growth, and I want to grow my community, and be able to connect people within that community. And on the real estate side of things, I want to start focusing on growing a team.
Nice. Okay. And what kind of vision do you have for that team?
I feel like you guys are going to see that it's all full circle. Like, I want it to be a supportive partnership, that when you're coming into it, I want you to be able to have everything that you need, that if you wanted to leave, you could go out and do it on your own afterwards. Like, I want it to be educational, and I'm looking for something. I don't see myself having, 17 agents under me. Something small and collaborative is what I'm aiming towards.
Quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And so do you have anybody on your team yet?
I did just add one agent to my team, and it's super exciting. And I can't wait to, see what we can do together.
Beautiful. The first year in real estate is always the hardest. So tell me a little bit about what your first year looked like.
So I think my first year actually looked a little bit different than most people, because I had the history of working with the investors, which a lot of my network already knew that I had that experience. Once I got my license, it was like, hey, I'm ready.
Right.
I'm ready. They were all, putting up their hands to want to make a move. So I think it wasn't until the second year where I started to feel that little bit of pull of like, oh, okay, where is the next one coming from? What am I going to do to systemize this? What am I going to do to make sure I have a pipeline or a downline or whatever it is, a future business, and not wake up every morning being like, when's the next one coming? I didn't feel that until my second year.
Got it.
And that's when, I decided to redirect my business and start focusing more on social media, community building, and referral business.
So that's where most of your clients come from.
Yes. Yeah.
So have you tried the traditional routes of door knocking, cold calling, doing open houses and that kind of stuff? Like, what's your experience?
Not for me.
No? Okay.
And I think that there is a certain type of person that is right for. It's not for me. I want to come into somebody's home when I'm invited. My worst nightmare is someone knocking on my door and my dog's running down the street. Now we have to chase them and all of these things. And I don't want to put that onto somebody else either. I think personally, you have to align with what works for you, because somebody else, I think it's been proven those methods work for people. We can all agree. I just know that I would not be successful because I'm not my best. I'm not on my game when I approach it that way.
Right. So what is it that you're doing that brings you the most amount of business right now?
Building a community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just expanding my network.
So what does that look like for you? Are you asking for referrals, or are you just meeting, networking, and then casually saying, hey, I'm an agent, use me when you need?
I don't think I would say casually saying I'm an agent. I make sure everybody knows that I'm an agent.
Okay.
It is consistently what I talk about, whether it be like, oh, my hair smells today from that house I was in. Like, it just very like, everybody knows that I'm an agent, and making sure that like people that I meet, I'm adding them to Instagram, I'm adding them to like TikTok or whatever, just finding the ways to reconnect with them. But to be honest, the biggest thing that I'm doing is showing up for other people in other ways that aren't real estate related. Helping drive kids to school or practice whenever they need. Knowing that they've been looking for this one thing and I just saw it. So you know what, I'm going to pick it up for them. Anything like that, connecting them to someone else who's looking for business and they need this item. And now I'm like, hey, look, you two should talk. Being able to connect and make those connections. That's how I've been able to become someone that they think of top of mind when somebody brings up real estate.
Right. Okay. So if somebody was just getting started in real estate and they wanted to build a community or at least like an online social media presence, how would they go about that?
I would say social media, you just got to start posting. And you got to get comfortable, because that one was a hard one for me. When I first started, I was like, I'm not putting my face out there. Like, I was so against it. And then when I finally, was like, okay, this is a fear of mine, I'm going to overcome it. Like, I got to get myself out there to be successful, especially because I'm not going to go knock on doors.
Right.
So you just got to start posting. You got to become comfortable with it. And the good thing is that there's editing. So if you really don't like it, you can go back and reshoot it. When it comes to building a community, start small, start with your personal community, feed into your relationships more, and then start to expand, if you have children, to the parents at their sporting events, their friends, their parents, the people that you work with, the people you network with. Get yourself out to networking events. They're all over Hamilton. I bet you can find one every night of the week. Go find like-minded people and pour into them, find out what their interests are and everything like that, and start to try to help them accomplish something.
Right. So it sounds like you've got a lot going on. You have your real estate business, you're a mom, you have your Steel City collective business. So what does your day-to-day look like in order to manage all this? Because even just social media can sometimes feel like a job all in itself. So how do you stay on top of things and structure your day to make sure that things aren't just falling to the wayside?
Definitely leveraging, it's leverage. I have someone helping me. I have an assistant, and then I have someone helping me on the social media side when it comes to posting, and we do strategy meetings and all of these things. And I've only worked up to that. I mean, definitely didn't start there. But it's every day looks different. Your calendar can be time blocked, but you need to know that something can pop up, like a basement flooding, and you're going to have to readjust your day, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be able to adapt in those situations. And I will say, not lose that time block.
Right.
It's just going to have to move to, the end of your day.
Right.
And then trusting in the people around you to support you. Maybe I'm not going to be able to make it to my kid's cheer tonight or something like that. But I know that the other moms will show up to make sure she gets there and she's taken care of.
Right. Okay. So obviously in a situation like that, when you're so busy, support is a huge thing, like you said. So what is it in terms of Keller Williams Complete that helps support you through all of that, whether it be from a personal perspective with the leadership group, or whether it be with some of the systems or back-end staff that we have? How does that play into your day-to-day?
Oh, I don't even think I can touch on all of the ways that happens, but I'll go over a few. We have the girls at the office that'll always help with the uploading, and just being able to take those little tasks off my hands that are just time consuming, but need to get done, and they need to get done in a timely manner, especially when you have a listing going up the next day or all of those things. The support from the ALC team, just being able to hash something out quickly. And, any of them are going to pick up the phone and answer. When you have a question that you just need to talk it out with someone, they'll pick up the phone and they'll talk to you. Of course, Dan and Susan are always there, like anything that you need to support you through even like life situations have been, I mean, there's so many different ways. And then also like helping me develop as a leader too, I would say, because I've never seen myself that way. And when I was asked to be on the ALC, it was kind of like another one of those moments that make you go back and reflect of like how far you've come. And then being put in that position and having people call me for advice. And I'm like, okay, I got this. And then like, I find it's always at those moments where you're second guessing yourself and you're having that imposter syndrome. Somebody calls you and you're like, I know my stuff. Like, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So
I can totally relate to that. I've been going kind of through the same thing, right? With the coaching and then the social media stuff. So until that door opens, you're like, am I ready to walk through it? But sometimes you just got to go for it. And then you just build on that skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the leadership, because you became a leader with the brokerage, do you think that had any kind of impact on you wanting to start a team? Or has that always been a dream of yours?
I mean, I think I've always wavered on it because, I mean, I'm a very independent person. And I'm one of those people who are like, I'm just going to do it myself. It's like, it's easier, it's quicker. And I think that accepting hiring on the help for the other aspects of my life really was like, okay, maybe this could actually help me in another way. And then being in that role of being seen as a leader in the ALC, I was like, okay, like people actually see me this way.
Right.
So I do have something to offer them, which is kind of like mind-boggling because, again, imposter syndrome, right? And you kind of just need to get over it. But it definitely has festered like the need to want to help people. But I think I've always had that kind of need inside, but it definitely brought it out.
Does it make it hard when you're hiring people to do things to let go of having to do that thing and not having the control as much of like, okay, this is exactly the way I would do it. But then you hire it out and it's like, okay, they're going to do it their way and that's okay. That's sometimes the hardest part is like letting go of the responsibility. Do you find that at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that I've had to put systems in place when you're having that changeover, just to be able to ease my mind. But then it always gets to a point where I don't know how or when it happened, but they're doing it their way and it's totally okay.
Sometimes better.
It's like even better, like they've improved it because it's the way that they would do it. And just like I can't door knock, they can't do what I would do in my way either. Right. So it's definitely like a balance of trying to give it over, but sometimes you got to take that leap.
For sure. And there's a few agents I know in this brokerage that are just absolutely killing it. You're obviously one of them, but you've also had that experience with hiring some people on. So for the people that are just at that point where they're thinking, okay, I might need some leverage. I might need either an administrator or team member. What would be your advice to them?
Find someone who aligns with you. Find someone who aligns with your lifestyle too. Find someone who wants to learn and that you feel like you can trust. And at the same time, know that if you do make that leap and it's the wrong choice, you've learned from it and you can go and make that next hire even better.
Right.
Especially if it's your first time basically managing an employee, there's a learning curve that'll also have to happen on your end. Maybe you're not a right fit for them either, but if you keep going, you'll find that like-minded person who is the right fit for you.
And are there certain ways that you go about looking for that person or interviewing them or training them?
So personally, it was always more of an invite. So it wasn't like I was out there searching for this thing. It was, I've met these people and I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, I would really love to work with you.
Yeah.
And it was more of, you've had that connection, you've established that relationship, and you've gotten to know them a little bit more. And you're like, you know what? Like, I would love for you to come and work with me.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best way to go. Find the best relationship first and then bring them in versus bringing them in and trying to formulate that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on your personality too, right? Like some people are like, they're opposite, but for me, that's what it is. Yeah.
So Melissa, before we let you go today, what would be one piece of advice to give new agents entering the market?
My biggest piece of advice is, if you're going to join a team, which I do highly recommend, even though I did not do it because I started a different route, is to find the team and the leader that aligns with you, that has your mindset, and that generates business in a way that you would want to generate business. So if you are the type to door knock, find someone who has seen great success door knocking. If you're one who wants to be more on social media and wants to, do more events, find someone who generates like that and learn everything you possibly can from that person.
That's a great piece of advice. I've been on multiple teams, and there's been teams where, they have that direct approach. And then there's the teams where they're all about the relationship building. And it does make a huge difference in your learning, because if you learn something the wrong way, it takes even longer to unlearn it and then learn it the right way for you, because there really is no right and wrong technically, but the right way for you, whether it's generating business or how you talk to clients. Plus, the other thing too is if you are going to lean on your team to step in and help you, you don't want to completely throw your client off by having a complete polar personality come in and step in. It's like for me, I like to treat clients like friends, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'll have fun with them. I give them every piece of advice and information that they need, but I'm also like, I like to have fun with it. And then you throw somebody in there that's just like, nope, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, whoa, what just happened? Yeah. So it's nice to have like a team of people, like you said, with like-minded individuals and that level of support.
And how you want to build your business, because personally, teams are great, but I think like a lot of agents and new agents, their goal is to be solo one day, and learning how to build your business through them, the way that you're going to continue it later is going to expand you so much quicker down the line.
100%. Yeah. So I appreciate you so much coming on. It was great talking to you. And if people want to keep following you, what are some social handles they can go to? You
can see me on Instagram, melissacarrington.realtor. And you can also follow the Collective Executive Offices at Collective Executive Offices on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.